Welcome to Now Serving, a Side of Therapy, your intro guide into the therapeutic world. Together, we'll explore various aspects around how to show up for ourselves and others by tending to our own mental and emotional well-being. I'm your host, Dalton Huckabee, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm grateful you've joined me.
And so there's if you don't want to be on medication, or even if you do, you're still going to need coping tools. And so, like we've talked about, one of the biggest coping tools is meeting yourself where you're at, right? But outside of that, there are so many different strategies that someone can work with in order to figure out, well, one, you have to get creative with your strategies. You have to try a bunch of different ones until you find the ones that click for you, because we're all so different. And so today we're just going to be talking about a few of them, but I'm also going to be giving a recommendation for a book called Self-Care for People with ADHD by Sohavani. She has over 100 different coping tools. And it is so great because we have to get creative with coping tools. So this one has everything that a book could throw at you. And then you try them out. It doesn't work, you try out the next one, right? There's so many for you to go through. And also she helps you understand your diagnosis as well.
Wow, that sounds like an awesome resource.
Yeah, huh. I really love it. It's on Spotify. You can listen to, if you pay for Spotify, you can listen to the first 16 hours for free or whatever. And then obviously Libby is a great resource for free books as well. But getting into different coping strategies, one of them is called a SMART goal. A SMART goal, also if you just look up SMART goal on Google, this will pull up, but it's a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goal. By specific, we mean that it's not just, I want to lose weight. It's not just, I want to learn the piano, right? Specific would be, I want to learn the first half of this one song. Measurable would be, I'm going to spend this much amount of time doing it. Or I will know that I have learned that song because I only made 3 mistakes when I was playing it, right? Very measurable. Achievable is, we're not saying that if you've never played piano before, we're not saying that you're going to learn that song within a day, right? It needs to be achievable. It needs to actually be possible. Relevant is this actually important to you? Or are you just learning piano for someone else because someone else told you that it's cool? It has to matter to you. And then time-bound, you have to give yourself some amount of time for this to get done. If you're just I'm going to learn this at some point, it's not really going to work. But time-bound means I will sit down and work on this at 9 p.m. today, right? And then the other thing that I work on my clients with is that because of the way our brains work, if you have one time set, you might not do it. So if you say, I will work on this at 9 p.m. and then you don't do it, you're going to feel shitty, and then you won't come back to it for a while. So instead of giving yourself one time, give yourself multiple times. I might do this at 1. See how you feel at 1. No, not feeling it. All right, I'm going to try this again at 3. Okay, can I do this at 3? Yeah, I can. So then cool, you get it done at 3. But give yourself 3 or 4 times throughout the day that you check in with yourself about whether you want to do it or not.
I love how you keep just re-emphasizing this aspect of being flexible with ourselves.
Yes, be flexible. And that's actually my next point is, if you can do it at 3 p.m., but you can't do whatever you had set out, you had said 5 minutes, you can't do 5 minutes, play 30 seconds. That's okay. Just touch the piano. Just you did your arm workouts. I think they were arm workouts.
I just picked up the dumbbells and did something for 5 minutes. For 5
minutes, right? Reduce the amount of the time as long as you get it done at all, right? And use that as a win. If you can touch it at all, use it as a win. And notice if that's all you can do. Can you only play the piano for about a minute a day? Cool, that's totally fine. Let's readjust our goals. Now we're just playing it for a minute a day. In 3 weeks, maybe we'll play it for a minute and a half a day. But just the fact that you're doing it is amazing. That is a win.
Something else I like to think about when we're doing SMART goals too is, which I love that we're talking about this because it really kind of breaks it down. And it's what is feasible, right? What is actually doable for me? And so we want it to be so simple, right? That it's almost laughable, right?
Yes. 100%. I want you to write a goal where you're of course I can do that. Amazing. Let's start there. That's what it should be.
Because then I'm more likely to do the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So say, for example, if, we just go with the gym, example, right? If it's an hour away, right, I'm way less likely to do it than if it's just like 10 minutes down the street, right?
Yeah, exactly. And is your goal to be at the gym, or is your goal just to exercise? If it's just to exercise, and you're tired today, you got home after dark, can you put on a YouTube video that's like a walk video while you watch TV, right? Like, yeah, you just have to do the thing, whatever it is, just meeting yourself there. And if you are able to do the thing, being on a roll and keeping track of it is one of the things that really motivates us. So if you have an Apple Watch, it does those rings, right? Like it does.
Oh, right. Yeah. The activity rings.
The activity rings. It can be really motivating to close your rings at the end of the day, or to see a full week of your rings being closed. So being able to create those for yourself as well. Like if it's the piano, having a calendar above the piano where you put a fun sticker every time you touch the piano, right? So that when you walk by, you see, oh, I did it for 5 days. I'm not really feeling it today, but I don't want to lose that streak. Cool. I'll do it for 20 seconds. And then I can put my sticker up.
What do you think about this idea? So I set the SMART goal for myself around this thing, right? And I did it, right? What do you think about the aspect of rewarding ourselves for doing the thing?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think the sticker is part of a reward, right?
That's what made me think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever reward feels good for you. I would say sometimes we can lean too heavily into food being a reward. And if that's something that you already struggle with, finding something else that can be, if you don't struggle with food, 100% make food a reward. Amazing. But if that is what you struggle with, right, finding a different thing that you can reward yourself with that feels just as fun.
And I asked that question because of the dopamine experiences, right? And when we're talking about too around behavior changes that you mentioned earlier, right? Like more likely to re-engage in the behavior if there's like this reward aspect tied to it.
100%. Yeah. And it can be, we can get kind of loose with the term reward, right? So I know that some people have a favorite TV show that they only watch when they're doing the task that they don't like. They aren't allowed to watch it at any other time. So maybe it's the new show Bear, right? Like, I don't know if it's new, but the show Bear that's been blowing up. You can only watch it when you do these like X, Y, and Z things and no other time. And that in itself is a reward for you. So we can get playful with the idea of what a reward is. Moving on from there into journaling for emotion regulation. I think people also don't like it when I say this one. I think exercise and journaling gets me the most groans when I'm talking to a client. And I wish that I could give you a different tool, but really journaling is so helpful during if you have this diagnosis. It even just 5 minutes a day can be super helpful. Even just doing it when you're dysregulated can be helpful. And it doesn't have to be written. I have a client who does Snapchat videos. She doesn't send them to anyone, but she has the Snapchat video, right? I have a client who just does voice memos. It's just some form of a journal. It can be whatever way that you want it to be.
And I think that part of what that helps with, which we spoke about last episode that didn't get recorded, is this approach to externalize.
Yes.
Right? Because if we're tending to internalize the symptoms, right, journaling can help externalize and make it not a part of us.
Exactly.
To where we think something's wrong with us.
Exactly. It can also, our brains move so quickly, right? Our brains are constantly ping-ponging. Sitting down and writing it, or sitting down and focusing on a specific video, like on a topic in a video, right, helps your brain fully delve into whatever the thing is that's bothering you. Because when you're thinking about it, it might be, I had a fight with my partner that's bugging me. I'm thinking about it. But then that fight reminds me that this isn't done. So now I'm thinking about this. And then this reminds me that this isn't done. And then you come back to your partner multiple times a day, but you haven't really fully delved into it because our brains get distracted. So being able to really sit down and be able to sit with the topic for a certain amount of time helps you fully process it.
Yeah, and it's a way, instead of feeling like we have to carry it around, right? People might have that analogy of like, carrying things around on our back, right?
Yeah,
Wearing the weight on our shoulders, so to speak, right? And journaling is just a way to kind of like, hey, just get it out of ourselves. And, whether it's like you said, voice memo or pen to paper or whatever, just that process of getting it out so we don't feel like we have to carry it around.
exactly. Yeah. We don't want to carry the bricks on our back. How do we help them? How do we help you set it down so that you can walk around your day lighter? Because when you walk around your day lighter, you're more likely to be able to accomplish your goals. You're more likely to be able to have successful relationships. Like everything in your life will get easier if we're able to help you lighten the load and be kind to yourself.
And then we can also see how that might even decrease anxiety, right?
Yes.
Over time too.
Exactly. Yeah. So yes, I know that people are upset by this coping tool, but there's so many benefits to it. And when people use it,
yeah, and what I was thinking too is like the interventions that might be suggested we'll take, breathing techniques. Breathing techniques, breathing. But if you really are someone who is challenged with being grounded, that suggested intervention is specific and intentional to what is being presented, right?
Yeah.
So for example, not feeling grounded, breathing helps ground you, right? Yeah. We're not going to suggest breathing techniques just because of breathing techniques, you know what I mean? And then so same thing with with some of these other interventions, that like journaling, that you're suggesting, like there is a specific reason behind why we're suggesting it. It's not just because.
Exactly. And even with breathing techniques, I know that mindfulness can be really hard for people with this diagnosis. But what's easier is body scans and muscle relaxations, right? Like the squeezing this muscle, releasing it. That's a type of meditation that feels easier for this population. And then also imagination focused mindfulness is easier. Having them imagine being in a place that they love, having them imagine creating a safe room, right? Like imagination focused things is much easier for them to help ground versus when we ask them to just focus on their breathing, because sometimes the brain can move too quickly to be able to do that. So having a task within the mindfulness session is helpful to help ground.
Would you say too, kind of like if, for example, like completing a project like we were talking about earlier, right? There's visualization techniques, like if can imagine themselves kind of going through all the different steps and completing the different things along the way. Like, is that something you feel like, is that the direction you're going with this?
That could be helpful. Yeah. But I was just coming, I don't think I've ever tried that. So maybe this week I'll try that with someone or myself. But I was going more from like when a client comes in really dysregulated, right? Because of whatever has happened. When I ask a client with ADD or ADHD, just focus on their breath, right? Even like when you breathe in, count 1, when you breathe out, count 2. Their brains are moving a little too fast. But when I have them sit there and I'm like, close your eyes and picture a spot in nature that made you feel really peaceful. Imagine what it smelled like. Imagine what the textures were around you. It gives their brain a task that is calming and keeps them more guided.
Yeah, something to focus on. Yeah. So
Yeah.
then that can ground them into the senses, right? Because the thing with, again, kind of if we're thinking about like being anxious around something, it's future oriented, right? And so then we're not in our body. The mind will do that. The body won't, right?
Yeah.
So if we can get into our senses in our body, that's a way of grounding. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. One of my favorites is having clients look around the room, really taking like 30 seconds to glance around the room like they've never seen it before, finding something that looks interesting, and then focusing on that thing that looks interesting for about 45 seconds to a minute. And while they're focusing, asking them to look at what are the colors you notice? What are the textures you notice? What's something that you've never noticed about this before that's coming to mind? Where does your eye keep going back to? How does that make you feel? Like helping them really stare at this thing. And the first time, I'm going to guide them like that with a lot of questions. The second time, much less questions, right? And then we're going to keep building to a place where they can do it themselves. They can stare at this thing for about 45 seconds to a minute, help their brain kind of ground, slow down. We can talk about supports and accommodations at school and work, and this will be super quick. If you're a teen, right, or a college grad, or you're in college, I'm struggling. We've been talking for a long time. My brain is starting to slow down.
Fair. Yeah, same. Yeah.
You can get a 504 plan if you are in high school. A 504 plan can include things like being able to use headphones when you're doing quiet work. It can include things like I need to be able to doodle while the instructor is lecturing, right? So it can include specific things like that. It can include gum. For a lot of people, chewing gum while they're doing something boring is helpful. It's just enough stimulation. And it can also include, when you're taking a test, being able to move into a different room that's more quiet and less distracting. So there's ways to work around this diagnosis at school. At college, you can do the exact same things. I don't think it's called the 504 plan anymore.
Yeah, there's an accommodations test that they take. Yeah, and it'll allow them to have more time to turn in homework or take a test.
Exactly. Yeah. And then for work, there's one, like having quiet spaces, right? A lot of us are not therapists because we're all in our own room, but a lot of people are in kind of a bullpen space where it's a bunch of like open desks together and you're hearing other people talk and there's a lot happening. So one of the accommodations that you could ask for is that when you're deep in a task, to be able to have a quiet room that you can go to, or being able to work from a different space for a while. Maybe you work from home one day a week in order to do tasks like that. It can also include that during your day, you have large chunks of time where there are no meetings, because for ADD and ADHD, it can take so much longer to get into the task that if we're pulled out of it, it's going to take us, again, like 45 minutes to get back into it, right? We're not good with transitions. So minimizing the amount of transitions that you have to do. So like little things like that, which you can work on with your boss, with your company, in order to give yourself the most amount of structure that's going to be helpful for you.
Yeah, and we kind of think about from this values place, right? Even allowing ourselves the grace, right, to ask for those things.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you're not less than that you have to ask for these things. It's just like we all need different accommodations. There are other people in the office getting accommodations that you might not even know about. And you deserve to have them. You're a valuable part of the company. They hired you for a reason. So if these accommodations are going to help you be more productive, or going to help you reach your goals, then yeah, ask for them. They're going to appreciate you knowing yourself.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and being able to be in a place where, it feels like I can accept this support, right? Instead of thinking, oh, I have to be able to do it on my own, right? Like being in a place to be able to accept the support.
Yeah. And if you're not in that place, a therapist is a great place to start. Yeah. I hope no one is overwhelmed.
So if we were to ask, like, what's one takeaway from all this, right? Not to be overwhelmed.
Meet yourself where you're at. If this was too much information, pause, go find something else to do, come back, right? Like, yeah, meet yourself where you're at.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It is a lot of information, and we want it to be, the idea is that information is presented in such a way where it's digestible and understandable, so you can again kind of gauge how it relates to you, how does it show up in your life, right? And ways that you can work with some things that people may have been struggling with for years, right? And again, this idea of enhancing our own self-understanding so that we can learn how to work with these things instead of them working against us.
Exactly. How do we utilize our ADHD? How do we take the strengths that we get from it in order to help lift ourselves up instead of constantly railing on ourselves for not being able to meet our expectations?
Yeah, well, this has been a super informative, and just I really can't thank you enough for being available and engaged and interested in helping us get this information out here on the podcast. Again, I think that especially because it does get a lot of press. Where we get our information is important. And so we really strive here to kind of provide information that is tangible, but also provide some insights in case people are wondering, hey, do I have ADD? Do I have ADHD? Right? How does this show up in my life? Again, all those questions might be coming up for people. And so this was just a way to inform and provide insights and maybe even, point them in a few directions of where to go, right? Even if people who don't want to engage in therapy, right? Or seek medication for help, right? Maybe some of the things that we discussed they can just try practicing on their own too.
Yeah, hopefully we've provided coping tools too, where people don't feel like you have to see a therapist, you have to get medication. I hope that at least some of the stuff that we talked about regarding tools and how to navigate this has been helpful and gives you a starting point. Or if you already have started, a middle point, right? Like just helps you continue on your journey.
Well, thanks again. This has been super awesome. Really appreciate you more than you know. So thanks for joining.
No, Dalton, thank you. This is my hyper focus. I had so much fun doing this.
Yeah, me too. I did. Again, I even had some insights myself, right? Like, wow, so it's been great.
I love that. I'm glad that this was helpful for me too. So I'm glad that it was helpful for both of us and hopefully for other people out there too.
Yeah, and something I'm finding even that's kind of coming about doing these podcasts is that I'm learning more and then being able to be with clients in a different way too as a result of it. And again, it's our unrecorded session last week, right? That even helped me, identify some things, in session over the past week. So we definitely kind of take this information with us and learn how to apply it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad. And every time I do more research about this topic, I learn more. I feel like it's like, there's always so much to learn. There's always new takeaways. There's always more coping tools. Like, a client told me recently that they record themselves while doing homework because that's what keeps them motivated. That's something I would never have thought about. So it's just so interesting to be in this space and to see people's creativity.
Thanks for tuning in this week. If this conversation resonated with you, follow Now Serving a Site of Therapy on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. Be sure to click subscribe and leave a comment and share with others who may also enjoy. Check out our website at izzotherapy.com, where you can contact us to be placed with a therapist who's the best fit for you.